Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Sunday night coffee talk live stream. I see Stacy's here. Glenda's joined us. J Dog, nice to see you. C Hummel and ST Wong, 2FXMJ. Wow, great to see people this evening. I'm pretty sure that the Warden and Hungry Heath are going to be here shortly, and I know we're waiting for a couple other people. But we can shoot the breeze a little bit and kind of get some stuff started. Tonight I thought we would talk about coffee tasting, even though by no means am I a professional and we are not doing something on a professional level. So we'll get into it. And the recipe tonight is super simple. We're just going to do like steamed eggs. Oh, hi, Gigi's here. Good to see you. Super simple. I think a while back, actually, on a couple of the different larger keto groups, the steak and butter gal video kind of went a little bit viral talking about these steamed eggs. But I actually ran across them years and years ago. It's a Chinese dish, but where I was in Singapore because I used to work in import wholesale. And it was a fairly common kind of dish to have basically on the regular. That and a lot of soups at breakfast. So it was a very nice, fun thing to have that come back into my life. Because after I'd been back in the States for a few decades, I hadn't given it a single thought at all. So, and then when it went viral and I started making them again, it was very comforting. And I think it'll be extra good tonight because last week we had all that cake. There's like a million little cake balls in my freezer. It's ridiculous. Give me a thumbs up if the audio's working okay. I'm pretty sure it is, but just double checking because I noticed things have been a little bit off kilter lately. Oh, 2FX. You say it's official that you're uncultured. You didn't even know coffee tasting was a thing. You are not uncultured. That's why we do these fun little chats. I am a big coffee nerd, so I seek out all of this ridiculous stuff. It's way over the top. Oh, thanks, J-Dog, for the verification there. It's definitely not. And in fact, you don't hear about it a whole lot in general society. So coffee tasting is something done usually in past streams. We've talked about it a little bit, that a coffee taster is like a sommelier in the coffee world, but they're actually called Q graders. So, and they go to the Coffee Quality Institute, the CQI, and have a lot of really rigorous trainer. Let's see. Oh, Stacy says they saw something today that they want to share. Go for it. If it's a link, you might have to send it to me on Facebook. I'm not sure that I can grab it right this second, but we can try. And if not, as soon as one of the moderators are on, we can give them they can paste it for you. We can have you send it to them. Oh, hey, the Warden and Blue Dove has joined us. So, oh, and the Warden says they love doing coffee tasting. So, yeah, anyway, so these Q graders, when they go to the Coffee Quality Institute, they're actually, before they can even begin the course, given like these really rigorous testing to test their sense of smell and their palate, because not everybody can actually be a coffee taster because well, essentially genetic differences. There's like super tasters who don't always taste things the same way, and like for those of you who see Attila on here, his taster is terrible. You know, I'm sorry to say it. I don't mean it in a bad way, but like he has this thing where he actually cannot smell anything rotten. So if you have something disgusting and nasty in the rotten avenue, for instance, we had like an animal die under the deck once, and so yeah, that's the person that you send to go take care of it because they're not going to be sick from the scent. by the other point, though, the downside is they can't smell bad things. So if meat or something has gone bad, they don't necessarily have that protection that we would normally have to that you would smell it and know like, oh my God, don't even eat that. So, yep. So, oh, and Hungry He says he just sat down to enjoy the warden's Instant Pot Hungarian goulash. Oh, so not the Mongolian beef then. But yeah, so they have to go through like some rigorous testing, and once they know that they have all of the appropriate senses and palate senses to be accepted into the program, then becomes like rigorous training. So it's like super deep and intense, and they've actually there's a specialty coffee association. It's a nonprofit organization, and the school and that organization work together to develop like tasting standards. So it's actually like really a very serious thing. And we're not doing the very serious thing. We're doing the let's pretend we're doing a serious thing, but really actually just have a lot of fun and do it all wrong. Now let's see. Oh, just lots of hellos back and forth and more talk. What did everybody have for dinner? You guys, I smoked ribs today and they were fantastic. So that was my primary meal today. And then I'm also, like I said, we're going to make the eggs, which I have set up my double boiler. If you don't know what a double boiler is, let me get the lid off of it so I can sort of show you. Not real well because I turned the water on so it would be ready. And I also cheat and I put my little silicone holder in there to make getting the container, the steamed eggs out. But the bottom of the pan is perforated. If I can get it right, you can see that. Maybe not. Let me make sure it's not going to drip too much. There you go. You can see the perforations. And I'm dripping water now on my tablecloth. But it's hot water, so it's cool. And the bottom pot is just your standard nonstick pot. And I put water about halfway up and brought it to a boil. And that's what keeps the steam going in there. You put the lid back on to trap it in. A little more steam escapes because of my silicone handles, but I'm telling you, it makes a huge difference. So, and the warden's asking how I season the ribs. So I like to put down like a moisture of a mustard layer before I throw my seasoning on. And then I mixed up some of Hungry Heath's pork and poultry rub with some of my Chipotle Ghost pepper, as well as some additional cumin and some extra garlic. And I forget what else I put in it. I just add stuff until it's got that flavor that I like. You can be really flexible with your seasoning. Oh, and salt and pepper. Hey, exchange student 2. Good to see you tonight. But so yeah, so then I rub that in, the seasoning onto the mustard so it all becomes like a nice dry rub paste. And stick it right into the smoker. I leave it at 225 for about 3.5 to 4 hours. Then I pull the ribs out and wrap them with the peach paper, which is a heavy butcher paper, but also colored like pink red. So that's why they call it peach paper. And throw it back in the smoker, and it just stays at 225 until the ribs hit close to that 195. You pull the paper off and let it finish off to 205 until it's just like probe it with butter. So yep, take a drink here. And then Blue Dove has asked the critical question that we're going to address here in a minute. Is there a standard brew method for coffee tasting? There most certainly is, and that's what we're going to demonstrate tonight. But let's get the eggs going first for my steamed egg pudding, because I think you all know I like to eat early, and I am well ready for food. I have all my stuff here. I'll show you. I've got my 3 eggs. It's my container for my shells. In this little container, I've got salt, pepper, a little bit of I Can't Feel My Face, and some chives. I'm going to mix that into the eggs. So let me get those. Which, by the way, are these eggs not fantastic or what? These are the ones that I get from my friend who has all the chickens. And they are spectacular eggs. Let me show you this. I don't know if other people get as excited about eggs as I do. But if you can see, look at that. It's almost an amber yolk, even though it's not. And they're enormous. I mean, look at the size. I mean, they're as big as my palm. And these are the ones that are not the super extra large jumbo ones from his flock. So I just love them. Need to make a trip out to his place again too to get more because I'm getting low on eggs. Like a lot of people on keto, I go through a lot of eggs. My finger wiper. So for that, then I just dump in my seasoning. And the next part that seems weird, but it really works out in making the eggs very soft. You put basically the same amount of water that you do of the eggs. And then you break it up and give them a little blend. It takes a minute. These yolks, by the way, are super tough, so it takes a little bit of effort to bust them up. They resist getting blended into the water. They're so thick. And honestly, this is basically a majority of the recipe. The other thing happens at the end with the finishing, and we'll talk about that when we get to it. They'll steam in there about 20 minutes. You can sometimes do a little less. You can do more eggs, less. I don't like doing only 2 eggs though, because I feel it's too easy to overcook them. So you can do less time. You can cook them more if you like your eggs more done. It's going to make like a very soft custard. And except for instead of being sweet, we've taken it in a savory bend. Just give it a little bit more stirring. Let's see, I'll take a look here. I lost track for a minute. Oh, Stacy says they were at Target today. Dash has a waffle maker that makes 4 mini waffles at a time. Oh, that would be awesome. I think I've seen that in one of the Chaffle groups. And I was intrigued, but not enough to spend the money for it. Because I have like, I don't know about how many of you, but I have like a weird little mini Dash problem. And so I'm not getting any more, or at least trying not to. Even though I really wanted, like they've got one that's a gingerbread shape. And one that is a Texas shape, which I think is hilarious. I'm going to shake this off. And that is it for the steamed eggs recipe, except for the finishing. And we'll do that at the end. Carefully take your lid off so that you don't burn yourself. And you set the eggs in there, hot. And we put the lid on there, and now it'll be about 20 minutes. So at 7 o'clock, we'll take it out, and I will show you the steamed eggs. Let's see. Let me take a look here. Oh, hey, Mr. Utley, nice to see ya. You're late because you're doing the glorious job of picking up the poo. Well, you have big dogs, so that is a burden you have to bear, but at least it's for a joyful reason. Hey, Rhonda and Sharon. Nice to see you guys. So, oh, and paw pedicures too. Yeah, Dyson needs his nails done. He's hilarious. So, but tomorrow he's due for a heavy brushing because he started his blowing his coat, which is something that happens with double-coated dogs. And so all of a sudden the weather is turning, and even though it's going to get cold again, it's definitely turning to spring. And so he is full of like little clumps of fur, and each day I can pull out like giant handfuls. So, oh, and J-Dog says he has the Big Dash 4 Belgian waffle maker and one for a backup. It's a great device. So only using one power port to make 4 waffle squares. That sounds good. I use my regular waffle maker. Caboodle Bry is here, says good evening, and that he made it. He had to unhook all the water hydrants for the horse waterer since it's supposed to freeze hard again. Oh, another freeze. Yeah, we're doing our planting, but indoors because we know we usually get another freeze near the end of March and sometimes even one in April. So, all right. Now we can concentrate on coffee tasting. I'm going to reboil my water. I have mixed these all up, and a smart person would have thought if you're doing a live stream, you would remember to put labels so that afterwards you could tell people which one was which, or you could show off and how many you got right. But certain streamers aren't that smart and forgot to do that step. I did write down which of the beans I pulled and ground. And unfortunately, they're all mixed up because at first I was thinking about doing that labeling thing so I could mix it up and guess later. And even though they're not in the same kind of containers, I can't remember which one I put in which. So hopefully my taster's good tonight. But I know a few of them I won't be able to recognize, and at least 2 of them I'm pretty sure I can. So, but each one of these containers, and this is an important part of coffee tasting, is that the beans, they usually take a look at the beans and can see and feel them, so they know the oiliness, they know they can see the roast on it, they can smell the beans whole. Then it's ground, and they're always ground exactly the same. There's not a flexibility to the grind, like like when we're trying to do certain brews. Sometimes we grind coarsely, sometimes we grown fine. For tasting, all of the beans, regardless of what kind, are all ground the same because we're going to brew them exactly the same. These are a 3 grind, and each of them are 10 grams of coffee. Normally a coffee tasting would have a little more, and they would be making a slightly bigger, but since it's kind of going to go to waste, I didn't want to do that. So we're just going to start with that. And basically, this is a boil over method. You actually keep the ground right in there. So kind of makes it nice for this part. We just dump them all in. And, they're always done in these little cups, like little tiny soup bowl ramekins. I don't have any clear ones. Mine are white. I think a lot of them use these white ones that you just get. They're like both industrial restaurant supply. Get all your grinds in there. They also, professionals also wouldn't touch the coffee with their hands. But again, as I said, I'm not like a fancy grading professional, nor am I even all that awesome on just tasting coffee in general, even though I do have quite the passion for it. Now, even though these looked like maybe they weren't the same, just so you are aware, like they were just the difference in containers, all of the cups now basically look fairly identical in the amount of coffee in them. So let me take a look here. Let's go back in. Oh, Cool Kid Keto says they're a little late, but they made it. Well, we're glad to see you always. So, and Chow CEO bought the Dash Large Waffle Maker, makes 4 larger, thicker waffles at a time. Very reasonable on Amazon. I think that's the one that I might want. I really like my regular waffle maker because of the convenience of it. It's really not the greatest waffle maker, but the plates are removable, so they're really easy to clean. And then it also has a panini press in it, and then like a sandwich maker, which I don't really need the sandwich maker thing, but it's kind of fun and campy to do stuff. And of course, if I ever remember, I wonder if I can make a little stuffed sandwich sometime with it. That'll be hilarious. Let's see. Oh, and Mr. Utley is going to do some nachos this week. Been craving vinegar slaw, and going to add some slivered jalapenos in the slaw. That sounds good. Let's see. And then Cool Kid Keto is it's just Nicole. Hans is headed home from a photo shoot he had today. Well, we'll catch him later. So now with the coffee, The other thing I forgot to tell you is we use these fancy spoons. If you've ever been in restaurants when they have like the fancy soup spoons, it's like that. It's a deep spoon with the circular and a little bit of a curved handle. I bought a gold one, but it doesn't have to be gold. I like gold and I thought it was fancy and it lets me pretend to be fancier than I really am. And so why the heck not? I love it. Usually they have 2 spoons, but I only have 1. So I'm just going to use my regular spoon for a portion of it. So let's go ahead and start the brewing part. They all get the same amount of water. I'm going to maybe not be as professional because I'm going to eyeball it and bring it right to there. I'll be pretty close, but not exact. They would be weighing the water exactly. But the important thing is that you want to be fairly consistent and as quick, because you want them to all brew basically the same. Let's see if I can do this last one with my left hand. There we go. I also should be using my gooseneck, but because they don't have the electric one, I shorted this first 2 a little bit. And they would never do that, go back and fix one. They would dump it and move it to the next tasting. There we go. So now they're all basically the same. And you let those steep for a few minutes. Now, I have just my cold water. It's all filtered water. You always use filtered water. And that is because your spoons need rinsed in between. I'm going to add a little more. Let's see. Let me take a look here. Let's see. Oh, and Chow CEO says their dash is easy to clean. They just put a damp paper towel on immediately after and close it and steam clean. See, I keep hearing that, but I'll tell you, if I have something greasy in there, it doesn't work and I have to like wash it. I just have like a extra soft toothbrush that I clean it with. But since I have a 9 million of them, I figure even if I wear it out or I damage it, they're easy enough to fix. Just gonna lean over here. Very nice. So, let's see. Oh, and 2FX said, oh, well, thank you for thinking of me. When they had a night coffee a few days back, they gave up diet soda for Lent, so they were having a substitute. Honestly, other than that the coffee may be different and disrupt your sleep if you're not used to it, it's probably a better substitute. So, let's see. Ah, hello. More, oh, and thanks for the tip on the dash. So, oh, and Reichwin has joined us. Said that they're late and they're going to have to catch the replay. No worries, Reichwin. We are just started our coffee. I put the grounds, 10 grams on a 3 grind, and now it's steeping. Now, one thing that I can't really show you that well is that what has happened now is the grounds have formed like a crust on the top. I've got a foam. And that is the first step, is after these steep for a couple minutes, we're going to go through with the with this spoon and break that crust and then scoop it off. And you have to rinse in between each cup, which is why we've got the rinsing cup. And that's why there's 2 spoons. Like your tasting spoon is you know, for whatever reason, I'm like, what difference does it make if they're all in the same rinse cup? But evidently it's a big deal. So the other thing is that you will need your water. Always your water. Your water is going to go between each taste. I'm also super thirsty today, so whatever works. Smarty pants. Let's see. Oh, and Hungry He says he doesn't know why, but his new pup, Samson, loves coffee. Every time the warden makes a cup, he gets really excited. None of my pets like coffee, so that's good for me. So, Oh, you guys are hilarious making jokes about Lent. So awesome. Let's see. Samson may love coffee because his previous owner drank it. That's entirely possible. And I repeat, that is so awesome. And as long as you don't give them a lot of it, because obviously it's not that good for dogs. So, where was I? Yes, the tasting. Breaking the crust. So what's going to happen now, because it's been 3 minutes, is I'm going to come through. I'm going to break the crust and start scooping it off. And what this does is it kind of gives it a teeny bit of agitation, but not too much. And it encourages any floating grinds to go down to the bottom, which makes for a cleaner tasting at the other side. Now, one thing, when I taste, I find this very interesting, by the way, they are different. The first one, almost no grinds in the top foam. This one had big scoops of foam up top, or big scoops of grounds on the top. In fact, you can even see it on, like they did not sink in the same fashion. So that's probably a difference in the coffee. I'm just going to rub that out. In fact, I'm going to give the spoon an extra rinse so I can get in here and do a good clean scoop. I find that interesting, and I wish I knew which coffee I put in which bowl. I have no idea what that means when they have more grinds in top than the others. This one has grinds in the top, but not as much, and the first one is still the cleanest. And I will tell you there's slight differences in the coloration of the foam. The first foam was super, super light and fuzzy. And the next one was a more reddish kind of foam, but obviously had the grinds floating in it. And the third one was sort of more, was a lighter color, and but more beige and less red. And this one looks almost like a cocoa foam on the top, and this one is almost black. So. And this one also has a lot of grounds in the top of it. So, and those are things you're looking for as we're doing the scooping here, is you are looking for the visual texture, the color of the foam. All of that stuff plays into stuff that Q graders do. Whereas someone like me, I just don't want that many grinds in when I'm tasting it. So that's the important part for me. And the next part on this, I got to move this just to bring it a little not so far away, is after the scooping. Wow, you guys, this is basically all grounds and very little foam. I'm not sure how I feel about that. That would be why it was so dark. Although the coffee itself looks darker than some of the other ones. And just so you know, that makes me think like maybe that indicates that it would be one of the dark roast. That's not necessarily true with coffee. The color of the actual coffee does not indicate whether it's a light or dark brew. It's sometimes an indicator of the beans and the oils that it is brewed with. And just give that, and there we are done with that. Now, some of the tastings that I've seen in the past get like super crazy, and they go as far as to keep this spoon really pristine, and they have another glass with water. I did not bring another cup. I just don't have that many cups. This is all my cups. But they will go one step further, and they will take a spoon and scoop it off and pour it into the tasting spoon. And I'm like, that's way too crazy. And I've been, by the way, I want to make sure that I say hello to Air Fry and Auntie, because even though I talked to you, I didn't actually say your name on the stream, and I always like to make sure I acknowledge everybody. So let's see. Trying to read back on there. Oh, Mr. Utley says it's warm and smells tasty. The coffee and has Shelly scent on the top, which he wants to share with the new pack leader. That makes sense with the coffee and the desire for the coffee. And just so you guys know, so off of the top of the coffee just floating, these are the grounds and foam that I've removed. And now the coffee in and of itself is very clear looking on top. I don't know, if I tilt it any further, it'll spill. So that's as much as I can do. So, but yeah, so now they're all clear, and then the coffee has to rest, which is perfect timing because it's 7 o'clock, which means I'm going to double check here and try not to step on my floor lamp. And now I can show you this lovely, very jiggly custard. And I will show you why I think it's a good idea to use this. That was much easier than trying to get it out of there with a grippy. I've tried so many different ways, including one of the ball jar lifters, which cinches down, and you're supposed to be able to lift it. Oh, here it is. But I've never been able to get it to work. And I try to use these sometimes, but they're not quite grippy enough. What they are grippy enough to do is once I've got it to the plate, I can slip the silicone out from under it. Ta-da! That makes it so much easier. And now I can show you the finished egg custard. Give me that, actually. So I can tilt it. So you can see this is how it comes out. And it's absolutely perfect. So you can see, and now I will tell you, when you put the chives in it, the chives all do float to the top, but that's totally cool. And that's fine. It's too hot to eat. It has to rest. But we can put our finish on it. The finish has I have a little bit of a tablespoon of coconut aminos, a teaspoon of sesame oil, and a teaspoon of chili oil. So, and you just pour it right, I'll give it a little swirl because it's separated. Doesn't matter. And you just basically pour it over the top. And that is it for the steamed egg pudding. That was like, it was so easy, and yet it's such a delicious, delightful, delicate kind of meal. So that is it. And I'll show you in a minute when we break into it with the spoon. I'll show you how it looks. I don't know how well it translates on the camera, but yeah. I'll bring it up forward. I think if I bring it forward and tilt it a little, you can kind of get a better visual. So yeah, that was it for the egg custard. It's so easy and it's so filling. And it's great protein. It's 3 eggs. So that's all there is to it. It's eggs and water. You don't have to put chives in it because I know that gives you carbs, and coconut aminos has carbs, but it's really not that bad. This actually is the traditional Chinese dish. So other than, I don't think that they usually put sesame oil in it. That's me. I like that. But mostly they put soy sauce and chili oils on it. But in Korea, I've had one with pork on it. It's a very flexible dish, and the sky's the limit with it. So I really, really love it. And by the way, the next step here, which is why we're shooting the breeze, is to let the coffee cool. And I don't mean to cold, but you can't properly slurp and taste it until it's rested. And I think we've talked about resting your coffee an awful lot and how important that is to the taste. So, but we have another drink of water. Oh, another name for these eggs, the steamed eggs, is called water eggs. So, and I guess that makes sense since it's half water. It fascinates me that it doesn't separate it out, even though it's just eggs and water, but it doesn't, and it's amazing. Oh, I wanted to tell you about the coffees I did. I wrote them down because we have a lot of coffees and I wanted to make sure that I could remember which ones I brought. Oh, Lisa wants to know which kind of chili oil I'm using. Uh, I don't know. The kind from the Chinese grocery. We have three Asian groceries, and two of them are Chinese specific. And so I asked them which was the better chili oil, and I let them know that my primary experience was from Singapore and Japan. And they picked out a bottle and said, "You'll like this one." And they were right, I do. So that's the one I'm using. Oh, so unfortunately, I would say taste several of them at like various restaurants or buy a couple bottles. The bottles at the groceries are not expensive, so you can try several and not feel bad because you can always give them away to friends and stuff if there's one that you like better than the others. So that works out well. Oh, and the warden says I've seen where they cut diamonds on the top so the sauce soaks down. Yes, I wait though until it cools down and I'm ready to break into it, and then I do kind of break it up a little bit so it can sink down in there. But I don't do it while it's hot, and I don't really have a good reason or any reason why at all whatsoever. Oh, and the warden says they've done a sweet version too as a dessert. I've done that before. What I've done is the plain eggs and thrown in like 10 blueberries and just a teeny dash of blueberry extract to kind of boost it up. And that was fantastic. Not really sweet, but had that little bit of a fruit bend to it. I really enjoyed that. So, let's see, where am I? I know I missed some, but otherwise, I'll just okay. Now back to the coffees. I got a an Ethiopian heirloom coffee. It's from the Hema region. It's a light roast, and I know that we enjoy it when we can get it. It comes in once in a while, actually, to Costco. So why they get this weird, delicious, amazing, limited edition special Ethiopian coffee, I don't know. But whenever it does make the rounds and comes in, I always buy it because I do enjoy it. But it is a light roast, and most of the time I like dark roast, but this one I always have enjoyed. My favorite, which you've heard me mention a lot, the Silverbridge Mothman, which is our local roaster. It's 100% Arabica beans, and it's a medium roast. I did take both of my New Yen coffees, the Loyalty Blend one, which is the 50% Robusta and the 50% Arabica beans. That's also a medium roast. It's a single origin from Vietnam. And then I also used the New Yen Moxie, which is the 100% Arabica beans, single origin Vietnam, but it's the dark roast. So when you go through the tastings, you should know that initially you might just notice that you like one more than the other. And as you continue trying coffees and doing this periodically, is how you'll train yourself to know, hey, this one tastes smoother. This one is very tart. This one is kind of velvety and thick in my mouth. This one has a texture to it. This one's really strong. This one is very mellow. Then as you continue going through, eventually you'll start identifying the flavors like they talk about on the package. This one's kind of chocolatey. This one has a little hint of cherry. This one's got very berry forward. This one almost has like a honey aftertaste. But you don't necessarily catch that right off when you first start out. And oftentimes I'll tell you when they say stuff on the coffees that say, oh, it has like this very fruit forward with a chocolate follow-up. I'm like, hardly anyone is actually going to taste that, and they'd be much better off if they just explained that the coffee is generally smooth or very strong, etc., etc. Oh, Hungry Heath says he bets the ghost pepper and blueberry hot sauce by Bravado Spice would be good on the one I just described. With the blueberries, oh, I bet it would be. That would be awesome. So, in fact, I would highly be in favor of that. but I don't actually have that here, so I'll have to think about ordering some. The other thing too is just, I won't be spitting anything out. I don't know if I said this already. I think I might have. I won't be spitting any coffee out because I only have 5 saucers here. And even if I drink some of it afterwards, avoiding the silt at the bottom, there's no way I'm even going to have a full cup of coffee because I didn't give myself a filter and a container to strain it off into. I could get up and get one, but then I'm leaving I think that's weird to leave the stream just to try and get my carafe. Although I have carafes over there and a couple over there. And I've got a filter sitting over there. I could do it, but I don't know. I just don't want to. So there it is. But so I'm only doing 5. So I don't have to spit it out. I can swallow it. Don't make your jokes. I feel them already. Just think them in your head. They don't need to be said out loud. I regret it already. Anyways, I'm going to drink the coffee off my spoon. No, you don't have to send me anything. I'll be glad to just order it. It's no biggie. But thank you for the offer. It's very generous. But yeah, but professional coffee tasters are going to taste like up to 300 cups of coffee a day. So that's too much coffee for anyone. And so they do just like wine sommeliers where they take it and they swish it about and then they spit it out. And then they cleanse and refresh their palate with water. Oh, Air Fry Auntie says it sounds good, but just too spicy. And that's true for you, Air Fry Auntie. It would be too spicy. In fact, my chili oil and the I Can't Feel My Face that I put into the initial mix in is probably way too spicy for you. Just leave the chili out. You don't have to use it. Sometimes I've made these with a Southwestern blend and used the Hatch green chili, which is not spicy, and those are amazing. And Cool Kid Keto says they wish they could drink some coffee right now, but they have to go to bed soon. Yeah, the coffee doesn't even keep me awake. So, I don't know how much you could see on the live stream with the camera because I don't know, maybe I'll just share this with you. I know other people who do any videography or other streams, you know that you can see things in person and you can see things on your screen, but they're not true to what it looks like watching it from the other side. So I never really know what you can and can't see. So I'm going to start with this first one because it's rested the longest. But when I first started the brewing, you guys could see hot, heavy steam rolling off of it. Well, I could. I assume that at least some of it you could as well. And that's basically, I can see, and I don't see on my screen anymore, only some very faint little wisps. And I feel satisfied that I can scoop it. And the coffee on here is totally clear. It's not something I can get close enough to see you, well, with my table and all, to show you. But it's perfectly lovely coffee. Now, when you taste coffee, it's a bit weird because you have to gently slurp it, and slurping is totally awesome for coffee. Plus, well, slurping, the thing that so many of us were told not to do as kids, now you're told you do it so you taste things better. The slurping effect actually brings it, draws it in through your teeth and into your mouth and aerates the coffee, and also disseminates the flavor and expands the flavor profile for you. Okay. I can already tell you that while I know I won't be able to tell a lot of these apart, this was my Mothman, and it's not labeled, but I can tell you because I drink it so often, I instantly recognize the taste and flavor. And it makes me not want to try the other ones. I wish I hadn't got it first. But it's what it is. So now I rinse my spoon. I've cleansed my palate. By the way, they will tell you water or sparkling water is fine. I'm going to tell you that just from heavy tasting, the sparkling water, like a San Pellegrino or a plain Perrier, will cleanse your palate better than plain water. Let's see. And they said they agree that it might be spicy. And then Mr. Utley says it's really not that bad. It has a nice finish to it. Air frying. Oh, and Hungry Heat says it's also wonderful on ice cream or pancakes. Ooh, pancakes. That sounds awesome. Then I feel like things switched around on me. Oh, Shelly. Oh, and Mr. Utley wants to know if Shelly sent me the article about the caffeine OD. No, I didn't get that. That doesn't mean it's not in an email somewhere, but it could be. But I've seen several caffeine OD things, and yeah, I do pay attention to how much I ingest. And Blue Dove mentions that coffee has a calming effect to those with ADHD. But and then let's see. Questions about who may or may not have ADHD. I do not have ADHD, but I do enjoy my caffeine. But to be fair, you know, I tell you about drinking coffee a lot, and I used to drink way too much. I used to drink like a 45 ounce all day at work, and I would have had coffee on my way in, and I would be kind of coffee on the way home. And just by as I lost weight, I actually still enjoy my coffee a lot, but I'm down to, I drink one grape at 20 ounces, but I keep it in my thermo flask, and I drink it throughout the day in small bits. I usually have an espresso in the morning, and I sometimes enjoy an evening coffee like I do on our Sunday streams, but it's not every night. It's like maybe 3 nights a week, so really massively cut back. And I don't have 2 or 3 energy drinks anymore. I don't even have them every day. So, oh, here's the second one. Let's do it. It's good. It's tasty. That's definitely my Mothman. This one's good. I'm not sure which one it is out of them. I have to taste it again. I think this is the 50/50 Nguyen Loyalty Robusto. Unfortunately, there's no way for me to find out if I'm right or not because I was a dummy and didn't label things. But it has like that after taste that's just slightly chocolatey that I associate with Robusto coffee, which I don't get very often, even though it's like one of my favorites, but it's harder to find in the wild. So, but that's my bet, is that's the Loyalty 50/50 blend. I tell you what, I want to taste the coffee so I can dive into my egg. After that, I can taste all the coffees I want without worrying about muddying it up. But, oh, this one still had a bunch of grounds. Even my spoon of coffee still has grounds. They're very floaty. I forgot to tell you that I probably should have been smelling these too. Q graters really get in there and give them like that deep sniff, you know, the but my sniffer is pretty sensitive, but not enough to get into the coffees all that deep. Oh, that one's kind of tart. You know, supposedly I love all of these coffees because I buy them on the regular. These are all regulars that I buy. But after these two, this one's, you know what? I bet if I just drank it on a regular day and I hadn't had those, I'd really love it. It's a little bit tart. I'm guessing it's the Lavazza, because the Lavazza is the medium roast, but it's the espresso Ethiopian coffee. And it's also the only one that had like all the grounds that floated up. So I don't know. Obviously I could be wrong. Actually, I'll know more after I taste the last two. I forgot that I had that light roast. That's it. That's the light roast Ethiopian. That's why it's a little bit tart. I'm sure there's a more scientific taste profile than tart. Like, not bad. It's not sour, like over extracted or anything like that. But it was definitely vastly different. And that's the only light roast coffee I got. So I bet that's what it is. It's the single source Ethiopian Heirloom. Which means that what I would have left is the Lavazza Espresso and the Moxie Arabica. And if you start doing this kind of thing where you're tasting a little bit on the regular, you will develop the ability to do these things. And then, like if I did this more on the regular, I would start being able to be a bit more distinctive. Oh, this is the Lavazza. That I recognize because I drink it frequently. Also, how much fun is it just to be slurping the coffee like that? So, okay. Ethiopian light roast, Lavazza Espresso, also Ethiopian. And I recognized it immediately. But they both had that little tinge of tart after it. So, very interesting. I hadn't noticed that with the Lavazza when I just drink it and it's the only one I'm drinking. Good to know. I still loved it. I still thought both coffees were fantastic. But these two were definitely more on that nutty kind of lightly chocolatey, delicious-y. 1, 2. Let's see this one. I need to drink my water. And if I had remembered to label them, I would bet like $1,000 that I am right on the IDs for all of these. Let's see. Oh, Cool Kid Keto said they saw a friend have a caffeine OD from energy drinks. Air Frying Andy says the guy who OD'd with the caffeine powder probably didn't read the directions. That powder is very potent. Yes, I am not interested in something like a caffeine powder. Oh, Mr. Utley says that the article, well, he didn't have a measuring scoop, of course. Let's see. I'm going to just taste this last one and then we'll do comments some more. Yes. Okay. Yeah, so this I'm pretty sure would be the Moxie. So there we go. Mothman. New Yen Loyalty, which is the 50-50. The Ethiopian Light Roast, the Ethiopian Lavazza Espresso, and the Moxie Single Origin Dark Roast. And I can say that because this one had like that, well, it was the most chocolatey, and the Moxie from New Yen has a very chocolatey taste. Whereas the Mothman is a very nutty flavor. All right, let's do some comments and then let's break into the egg pudding. Oh, Mr. Utley says, I take in a lot of caffeine, but it's still less than I used to as a college student. Yep. Oh, and Cool Kikito, wow. When the friend OD'd on the energy drinks, he had to go to the ER. Let's see. I missed something. Exchange student 2 is asking how does everyone like to use gingerbread keto chow besides a shake? And Reichwan answers that they use it in chai tea. They've made pancakes and are thinking about making the cookie as they get tired of the shakes after a while. You know, I haven't had just a regular old shake in a long time. But the gingerbread, oh my God, warmed up, it's amazing. And I super like it as hot cereal. The other way it was really good was and the custard. I maybe just really like custards. If we're honest about it, that's probably a thing. So let's see. Blue Dove says having coffee often will build up your tolerance to caffeine too. Blue Dove says their tachycardia will rev up if they have too much though. I bet. Yeah, you'd have to be really careful. Bluegrass Girl, hey, welcome. Says they love Lavazza. I do too. But Renee says they can't find the Lavazza anywhere around. You might have to order it online, but honestly, there are so many coffees. I wouldn't go through the extra effort if you can't find it local. It's good, but it's not that amazing. So, and Cool Kid Keto says HEB had the Lavazza on clearance recently. So maybe they were taking it out. You know what? It's time for the Lavazza to go out of rotation in general. So that's probably possibly why. They'll get something else instead. Oh, and Renee reminding everybody to hit the like button. Please do. That's awesomely helpful when you do that. And they've said that, and Renee says they've been checking HEB each time with their fingers crossed. So, Cool Kid Keto says they daintily press the like with their pinky. That works too. It's all good. Air Fried Auntie seconds the gingerbread hot cereal. And Bluegrass Girl says they put the gingerbread keto chow in coffee. Oh, Renee, what's in hot cereal? Depends on what recipe you use. The Keto Chow actually published one that uses coconut flour and I forget what all else is in it. One of you other people, if you're using that, if you could share that information, that'd be great. I personally just thicken my Keto Chow with some chia seed, and then I top it with hemp hearts. And so maybe it's technically not hot cereal, but it sort of fills that role for me. Good enough. Let's see. Exchange student giving thanks. And Hunger He says thanks for reminding him that he has 3 chocolate keto chow shakes in the fridge. He used the residue in the melted keto brick to make it. Oh, that sounds interesting. Anyways, let's break into this egg pudding, or steamed egg now. So I'm just slicing it up so the topping has an opportunity to leak in a little. And now, and in case you're wondering, it is still steaming slightly. Oops, I don't want to drip oil on my computer. And I don't know if you can get the texture or if it's too light for it. Oops, plop right into there. But you can see it's very jiggly and very custardy and creamy. So, So, oh wow. I still love it. I could eat it almost every day. I will tell you that the combination of the sesame oil with the coconut aminos and the chili oil almost gives it like a candied flavor. Blended into the custard, it's just so nice for me. I didn't actually do all the macros on it. I have them in Chronometer probably but it varies a little bit based on the eggs. A tablespoon of coconut aminos has like 3 carbs in it, maybe two or three. I can't remember what the serving is, but the whole dish is like 5 carbs total. So, which is fine for me for a whole meal. Oh, it's really good. It's just hitting the spot. So, Blue W, you missed in the egg. In the egg, so the actual custard itself, the steamed egg, is actually just eggs and water. It's eggs and water, and then I added, for my own personal pleasure, salt, pepper, and chives, and some I can't feel my face ground chili, which, by the way, it's burning my throat just a little bit. And then for the topping, I used a tablespoon of coconut aminos and a teaspoon each of sesame oil and chili oil. So it's spicy, but a good spicy. And if you're not a spicy loving person, I would just leave the chili out. Renee's asking if I would ever do the egg custard with cheese, and the answer is, that sounds delightful. Cheese and bacon would be awesome. I'm sure it might affect the texture a little bit, but I don't see why it would be that big a deal. I actually think you could make it basically any way you want, and it would come out just fine. Hot. That I can't feel your face is really spicy. Maybe I should have left that out for the evening, but it's really good. Oh, Blue Dove mentions some people use broth. You're right. You can totally use bone broth. I don't like the flavor of the bone broth in my eggs. I like the flavor of just the broth. I like broth if I've scrambled an egg and drizzled it in for like an egg flour soup. But for some reason, I don't like it as the base for my fluid with the egg puddings. It highlights the mineraliness of the broth too much for me, and that's what makes me not care for it. And J-Dog says the egg custard with cheese and bacon sounds similar to a quiche, which is not a bad thing. Yeah. Very much like a frittata, but only when you steam it, it just gets so creamy. Well, I mean, for lack of better words, custardy. Bluegrass Girl said they've used allulose and cinnamon on their Irish cream egg pudding today and torched it. Oh, wow. That's really creative. So, Reichman says they were about to say the same thing as J-Dog, but quiche without the crust. And Renee was saying that that's why they were asking, is they weren't sure if it would have the same custard texture. I'm pretty sure that it would, other than it would have bits in it, of course. I'm pretty sure it would stay that way because I believe it's the steaming that makes it so custardy. Oh, and Lisa says she made a dashi broth and used it for the egg puddings. Oh, that wouldn't be... I might try that. So, now tonight was a bit simpler than last week. Last week, the cake was maybe a little out of control. I say maybe when we all know it was totally out of control. But, so, one of the things I thought I would do, except for I have to keep eating this egg pudding. It's so good. Let me grab this stuff over here. I wanted to tell you a little more about the Heirloom glass and why I thought this beaker was so stinking cool. Yeah, I know. And yes, I cleaned it and then I put it right back out here because I was hoping I'd have time to find you. Oh, I've got chili flakes stuck in my tooth and it's burning me. My tongue is sizzling on the side. I love it. Okay, there we go. Oh, no, it's stuck. Okay. I better take a drink. Okay. Anyways, so I thought that since tonight I had dialed it down just a bit, which was probably a necessary thing, I would take a little bit of time to talk to you a little bit about Hario. So, because they were founded in like the 1920s by in Canada Sadacho. And it actually had nothing to do with coffee at the time. They were a laboratory glass manufacturer. So, duly noted, laboratory glass makes good coffee. Because this is, let's see, the Hario, the Chemex, and I don't know, I have that generic pour over, the Yanma, oh, that's right, the Yanma siphon. Those are all laboratory glass. So, like I said, not only does laboratory glass make good coffee, smart people like coffee. So, okay, anyways, so this factory, at the time it wasn't called Hario yet. It was called the Hiromu Sabata. I'm not 100% on that. My memory is a little fadey right at the moment. Anyways, yes, Hiromu Sabata. And they had their factory that opened in the 1920s. And they started doing a research on glass melting. And got so into that research, they actually built a whole new factory where they started making their own brand of beakers, flasks, and coolers, and all that other cool stuff. And they did that all the way until like the 1950s. So, which I think is like incredibly cool. They were so excited about glass. So, I was just double checking. Boy, you guys all got quiet for a minute. Either that or my chat is lagged, which could be either or. Who can say? That's all right. I've got plenty to talk about. So anyway, so all the way until like the 1950s, and well, not quite the 1950s, like 1949, where they actually had a breakthrough in their research and developed a melted glass, which is what they called Hario glass. Ta-da! So the coolest thing about that is it was one of their huge milestones in the invention in the invention process, because it was the, I'm sorry, it's hot, including the first tanking furnace and the first grade Hario glass. So first grade glass was really rare before they developed this tanking process. So super cool. So not only does this beaker have interesting things just because it's laboratory glass, but it came from an original glass technique. That tanking was a huge breakthrough in glass. So they're moving right along with other places in the world, like up in the Americas, where we were getting like Corningware and stuff like that, which were similar, but not the same. And then and they kept working on that until like the 1960s, and they established the Hario Company, and that was a manufacturer of heat-proof glass and tableware. And they started doing mass production of it. And this was like the super most freaking cool part of it of all time. Oh, Hunger He says he was just listening. Exchange student 2 says, yes, it is quiet. So, and Blue Dove says this is the part where they kind of just, you just kind of listen to me blather on. So, okay. I enjoy the rapport, so I love when you guys give me feedback and tell me I'm gone too nerd. But anyway, so like in 1968, this is a super cool part. I mentioned before that they developed that tanking furnace, and now here they are with a whole new company and a couple more manufacturing plants. And in 1988, they developed the first all-electric melting furnace. Can you believe it? It was all the way in the 80s. So, fantastic. All electric, and now it's just like, it was like a huge technology breakthrough. So that was what I had about the Hario glass that I had wanted to share, but because I went so crazy with the cake balls, I ran us out of time and we didn't get to do that. Oh, Bluegrass Gill says they're looking at Hario on Amazon. They have a lot of really cool stuff. So, but I love my V60. I am enamored with the switch. I really like that steeping and then being able to release it for the drawdown on my own time. So, I think that was really cool. Oh, and ST Wong says they used to work in a lab, so they find that very interesting. Yeah, Friday Annie says they're in awe of my knowledge, and I'm like, you don't need to be in awe of that. All it means is that I read a lot of crap and waste a lot of time going down on these deep dives. So, oh, and Blue Dove says they don't have any HEBs in their area. Yeah, there's no HEB up here either. So, which disappoints me because I really love the HEB coffee and a couple other things that people have sent me from HEB in general. But it is what it is. An exchange student too says there's a glass company in the small city they live in. Their city used to be booming because of it, but now not so much due to aluminum and plastic. Okay, wait, go back up. How long will a vinegar slaw keep after I make it? Let's see, Renee wants to know. They're wondering if they should mix the sauce and keep separate and just make a new batch each day to avoid the sog. Oh, do you know that I actually don't know? I think the vinegar will break down the cabbage, but I do think it would keep like a couple days at least. I like the idea of making the sauce and keeping it separate though, and then just mixing it on the fly. Before I moved to Ohio, I lived in upstate New York near the Corning Glass Museum, and I loved that place. It was so freaking cool. They are also just super innovative. And they actually have a couple brewers out, and I don't have any of them because they're kind of hard to get a hold of now. Oh, and Hungry He says the lack of HEB is more sad for Blue Dove because they are actually in Texas. Oh, yeah, that would suck hardcore. Oh, and Exchange Students 2 says to watch if you have Kroger, keep an eye out for markdowns because theirs has a bunch of ninja items. I'll keep an eye out, but I'll tell you, our Kroger sucks. It's terrible here. They don't have half the things that other Krogers do that I see that are pretty standard in most places. And I asked the manager, I was like, what gives? How come this Kroger is so shitty? And he said, well, don't hold back. I've known the guy for a long time, so I didn't feel bad saying it that way. And he said, no, that actually what it is that just in our area, people don't buy a lot of the stuff. And so he can't justify ordering it from the warehouse. He did tell me that if there was something special I wanted, he could order it. But of course, that means it's not going to be on sale or clearance. It's full bore price, in which case, never mind. Oh, and Cool Kid Keto says they had a cup of the HEB Texas Pecan, but made into egg coffee. Ooh, darn, I wish I had thought of that while I had some. Well, that's all right. I did like that Texas Pecan that Renee sent me. It was good. So, oh, and Elaine says I should see how large Corning Glass is now. They've built on and have many displays. Yeah, when I went there, they had the museum, and the museum was like one of the most awesome things I went to. I really loved it. Oh. I just have a sip off my favorite coffee, the Mothman. Mm. And now the grounds have all sunk to the bottom. It's a little bit cool, but it actually still tastes great. Mm. Yep, 100%. That was my Mothman. And just trying to think if there's anything else I've forgotten because it's let's see. Oh, and exchange student too says they have a really nice Kroger and the organics is awesome. 4 aisles worth. Wow. Uh, I'm not sure. We have like a little bit of organic produce, and there's a sprinkling of organic products sprinkled throughout the store. But yeah, there's nothing specific called out for it. So. And the warden says they have a Corningware percolator in her shop. Oh, wait. Is it complete? I'm just curious. If it's complete, let me know. Reach out and let me know if it's a complete one or if it's just the outer pieces. Because that's what I've been looking for. But I'm not willing to pay, upwards of $300 for it because I know that if I just keep looking long enough, I'll find one that's more reasonable. Also, it's no good if it doesn't have the percolator piece in it. But people don't know enough about them to know that it actually is problematic if you're selling a percolator without the percolator part to it. Man, it's just so good. Oh, and Chelsea O says they are going to have to go to Corning, that they live about 2 hours from there, but have never gone. They have glass blowing demos too. Yeah, they had that one back when I went, and it's been a lot of decades, but it's really awesome. I really enjoy it. I know a lot of people don't necessarily enjoy some of those more nerdy things, but I thought it was fantastic, and I loved just seeing that piece of history. See, Cool Kid Keto says they used to get a Lola coffee called Breakfast with Elvis. It's supposed to be a peanut butter and banana flavor. Oh, Sharon has to go. They're going to go pull pork from the smoker. All right, good night, Sharon. Sounds delicious. I love pulled pork. And then Hungry He says we can make a deal at $2.99. Sorry, I don't got it right now. Oh, Renee says, so many of us are doing pork today. Yeah, our ribs were pork ribs. They were fantastic. And then, Bluegrass Girl was asking, which Mothman coffee am I drinking? It's our local roaster, Silverbridge Coffee out of Columbus, Ohio. Their coffees are actually really good. Both Silverbridge and Brioso, they're local to me, and their coffees are fantastic. I will say, even though it's a flavored coffee, and I know a lot of people like it, their Highland Grog is terrible. I detest it. It's disgusting, and I do not ever want it in this house again, and I have such regrets trying it. But everything else they have has been Spectacular. Hmm. All right, thanks, Warden. I look forward to seeing that. Oh, another spicy bite. Oh, Renee says their steak and shrimp was pretty dang tasty last night. The Blackstone sear was so good. Yeah, I need to get my Blackstone and see how it is because I haven't used it in a while. It's weird because I usually use it year round. Oh, Bernie. I usually use it year round, and this year I just didn't because I've been smoking my meat so much. What can I say? I really love smoked meats, and I've just been on a kick with it lately. But I know next week it's going to be cold, but it should start clearing up again and being nice. So I'm hoping that as the season changes a bit more, we can go out and start doing live streams outside. I would love that. And then so that way we can cook on the Blackstone, we can throw stuff on the grill, we can we can brew some coffees outside. Oh, hey, Gretchen Donchutter has joined us right near the end. Coffee is expensive to try and find out you don't like a particular kind. It is, but I like so much of it that it's really rare to find one that I can't stomach. That Highland Grog one was one I cannot stomach. But as you can see, I like a wide variety, and they're all delicious in their own way. J-Dog says he uses Blackstone yesterday and made 3 pounds of Costco bacon, but unfortunately they ran out of propane in the middle of the cook. So I have to reheat it in the oven to get it crispy. Honestly, that's not the worst. But, we need to get some propane. Because we used a bunch of it trying to keep the garage warm while we were working on the cosplay. And so my reserve for the Blackstone has been eaten up by heating the garage. So now we need to get that taken care of and refreshed. I should put that on my to-do list. Probably not this weekend coming, but the one after that. Oh, Blue Dove wants to know if the Highland Grog was too sweet. I don't think it was sweet. I don't know. It was just, I've had Highland Grog before and it's strong, but this was like so strong that it just it really overwhelmed my palate. And it just it almost made me nauseated from how strong it was. It wasn't sweet either. It might have had a hint of sweetness to it, but it was just so punch you in the face strong. So I think they just really way overdid it. Blue Dove says, somebody call Hank Hill. True. We do need... Well, actually, what we'll do is we'll go to Menards here, because Menards actually has the propane cheaper than anywhere else in the city. Oh, Renee says they're going to crisp up some pulled pork for Egg Life tacos this weekend, too. Nice. That sounds great. Since I cooked ribs today, and we actually made an extra rack. And while reheated ribs are not the greatest, it's actually not too bad if you do it right in the oven. And so I took the second rack and divided it up into 4 containers with some zucchini slices. So it's already pre-made meals, good to go. 1 meal, warm it up, just do it in a tinfoil pack with a little bit of butter to keep everything moist and tasty. It'll be fantastic. Oh, and J-Dog says that Macy's has the 6 and 8 quarts Instant Pots on sale for $53 and $59. I actually, I am all filled up on Instant Pots because I have the 8 quart and a 6 quart. And then we even have a third 6 quart that is moving out with my kid this summer. So we're good, but that price is really good. especially if it has the yogurt button. Oh, and Renee says the propane refill is like $14 at Walmart. I said what? I don't know what I said. Mm. Oh, yes, I do. I know what I said. I wasn't even trying, but it's true. And you know, you don't want like dried out jerky ribs. So, oh, and let's see. Lisa says they're going to make barbacoa with egg life tacos this week. Man, I still have enchilada sauce. I'm going to actually freeze a bunch of it tomorrow into individual serving containers. But I think that's what I'm going to do in the morning is for my, I think I'm going to make those rancheros again because it was really outstanding. So. Oh, and Blue Dove says they have the big propane tank where the truck comes to refill it. I've thought about that. Actually, what I've thought about doing is getting the natural gas installed and then converting my Blackstone to natural gas. But I haven't talked to anyone else in the house about that kind of crazy shenanigans, so I don't know if it's like a good idea or not. And Shauna's going to take off, and so good night. Thank you for helping out. Always appreciate it, and of course, always a delight to see you on. We'll see everybody, and we're about to wrap up anyways. In fact, we can probably do that. Oh, good evening, Jenna. Sorry that we're wrapping up. But there's always replay. Oh, and then J-Dog said he was only teasing us that the sale is actually over for Macy's. Yeah, that's all right. They go on sale periodically. We can always just keep an eye out. All right. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and get ready and end the stream for us. It's like 3 minutes early, so we can all call it a night. We've got many of us have work tomorrow, and there's just a lot to do lately. So, good night, everyone. It's been wonderful spending time with you as always, and thanks for listening to my coffee shenanigans and crazy things, and my little nerdery deep dive about my laboratory glass. So, but we'll catch you all. I know that we'll all be on various live streams throughout the week, so I really look forward to that. And I'll see you all real soon. Don't forget to hit the like button on your way out and share it around so we can grow our community. Talk to you soon. Good night.